Hey everybody, welcome to this little mini webinar which is on the herbal management for lymphangitis, cellulitis and peripheral circulatory fragility. This is primarily for horsey folks out there. However, a lot of dogs do also suffer from these kind of lower limb problems that occur, particularly lymphangitis and particularly cellulitis. Puppies especially have a renowned problem with some of the lymphatic problems too. So you may find some of the information useful, and of course it does cross over onto the equine world, equine and canine world as well. So we're going to be having a little look at the lymphatic system, some of the causes of things like cellulitis and lymphangitis, and we're going to be looking at herbal management. We're not going to be looking at this from a veterinary perspective, and I'll detail why as we go through looking at some of the herbs. But for now, what we're looking at specifically, cellulitis, any of those problems that seem to occur always at this time of year, always at the end of winter. We tend to get an influx of these problems occurring, particularly when it's damp, it's wet, it's muddy, the fields are pretty gross at this time of year, and the rain is starting to increase as well. So we do tend to see more of these problems occurring at this time of year, hence why we're going to put it here today. So what we're looking at is primarily associated with the equine, as I said. It covers problems that you're likely to come across with the ownership of a horse, cutaneous lymphangitis or an infection somewhere within the lymphatic system. It can also be non-infectious, so that's where the skin essentially has got fluid which is building up, so it can just be a swelling as well. More and more we are seeing cases of chronic progressive lymphedema, CPL. It's a real chronic problem for a lot of horse owners, so we're going to include that in here too. We're also going to include lymphadenopathy, which is just enlarged swellings. A lot of horses tend to get these on the pectoral muscles. They might also get them within the inner thigh area, and it's just pooling and enlarged swelling of the lymph. We also want to have a little look at lymphedema, because a lot of the herbs that we mention here will be really helpful for that. We're also going to look at the lymphatic system due to bacterial infections. This is primarily where lymphangitis and cellulitis are coming from. So you could have a bacterial infection that could come from anything from strangles to staphylococcus to strep, and eventually that will lead to cellulitis. You may also get a horse who gets some kind of lymphatic problem and pooling and swelling in the lower legs, cellulitis, due to viral infections, because an infection has gained entry into the body somewhere. So the equine lymphatic system is really, really clever. It's got a particular job to do. Its job mainly is to transport lymph around the body via this one-way system. It runs adjacent to the circulatory system, and essentially what we're trying to do is move all of this lymph up to two little junctions here where it can get assimilated into the body and eliminated by the liver, gets rid of all the rubbish. It's to aid the immune system. 70% of the immune system occurs in the gut. The rest of it proportionally is developed in the lymphatic system. So we really want to take care of the lymphatic system because it has a good job to do in keeping pathogens out and acting as a first responder if pathogens do happen to get inside. The lymph also helps to maintain blood volume. It also aids the health of the interstitium. So this is the fluid between muscles, between organs. It's kind of like it's a clear liquid that helps transportation of lots of proteins and also communication between cells. So we want to make sure that that is as fit and healthy as we can be. Lymph also helps to aid connective tissue. So it helps with cartilage, it helps with joints, and it helps with muscles too. So we want to make sure that it's really working at its optimum. Lymph also aids protein synthesis, and it aids the overall balance of fluid within the body. So it has a great job to do, and we really must look after it. Unfortunately, there are increasing cases of horses that are suffering from these kind of problems. So the picture that you'll see on your left-hand side is a horse that actually had liver degeneration and expressed that liver degeneration because it couldn't get rid of all of the muck that was coming through the lymphatic system. Ends up pooling like this, and you do end up with cellulitis, you do end up with lymphangitis. The horse that you see on the left hand side is just general pooling. This horse did actually have cellulitis as well, and you can see by the amount of scrapes and cuts that it's got on its leg, this is likely to be how this animal came into contact with a bacterial infection that has then gone on to cause lymphangitis or cellulitis. But that's one of its main entry points, is things like that, cuts and scrapes. So bacterial infections are the biggest cause of them. They can be picked up by internal infections and external infections. So traumas and wounds that allow bacteria and pathogens to infiltrate into the body, including in some circumstances injection sites. So we do need to be wary of making sure that our wounds are kept really clean and really healthy. They can also be caused by subcutaneous trauma leading to inflammation. For example, or a knock or bruising that can lead to something like a staph infection. So any kind of trauma, it doesn't have to be an open wound, can cause degradation and inflammation and then cause cellulitis. Also by things like irritants from topical applications. They have been noted by veterinarians in some circumstances. I'm afraid I don't know the details of specific topical applications because it will be very, very dependent on each individual horse essentially. You will also see an increase in cellulitis and lymphangitis because of a degradation in the vasculature of our equines. So a degradation in the tone and the capacity of those vessels to carry not only blood but also lymph around the body. Now this degradation can occur because of age, so they just get a little bit older, the vessels become weakened and they don't allow that fluid to travel as freely as it should do. You also get that from some kind of immune dysfunctions. There are plenty out there. Metabolic conditions will definitely interfere with the ability of the vascular system to remove blood and pathogens from the body. So sugars from the body. So if we have a lot of sugars that are floating around in the bloodstream, that causes a drag, and that drag leads to more pathogens building up and it leads to more sugars building up, and then we end up with kind of metabolic conditions. But these have an impact on the ability of the lymphatic system to help draw out those pathogens and to help assimilate and metabolize lots of debris that's going on in the body. So we want to make sure that any metabolic conditions are also being looked at naturally and herbally and supported naturally and herbally alongside conditions like lymphangitis and cellulitis. You will also find an increase in these conditions if your animal has degenerative joint conditions. That's through lack of movement and it's through a decrease in overall circulation because they just can't move as well. It's a little bit painful, things are a little bit sore, and fluid is not moving around the body as nicely and as easily as we would like it to. As I mentioned in the pictures that you saw earlier, these kind of conditions will also proliferate in animals that have got liver disorders or liver dysfunctions or some kind of toxicity, for example, through ragwort poisoning. So anything where the liver is slightly compromised is going to potentially lead to an increase in these kind of conditions. But why does it keep reoccurring? That's a really good question. So if you're a horse owner and your horse has had lymphangitis or cellulitis, you will likely have had a reoccurrence of the problem time and time and time again. There's a reason for that. So your vet will do the best they can. They will come along and they will provide antibiotics, which is normally the traditional allopathic route to take because it does kill the infection, which is what you want to do. Unfortunately, what vets are unable to do and what they just cannot provide are medications that help in very subtle but very supportive ways. So allopathic medications don't include medications for the lymphatic system, particularly for the lymphatic systems. Lymphatic herbs help improve immunity because the immune system is built within the lymphatic system as well. They also help to aid the movement of lymph around the body so that it can be assimilated by the liver, and so all that debris and rubbish can be removed and all that bacteria and dead cells can be removed and got out of the body. Many of them have an additional antimicrobial element as well, so you're also supporting the lymphatic system by helping to get rid of that bacteria too. Unfortunately, vets, as far as I know, do not have any allopathic medications that support the lymphatic system. They do have immune medications, but they don't specifically have medications that will support the movement of lymph, which is where herbs can really come into their own. So for example, you've got a nice picture of calendula here. It's a wonderful lymphatic herb. You can grow it in your own garden. It's so easy to grow, it really is. It is either an annual or a biennial. It is known by common names such as marigold. You'll probably know it as pot marigold, Mary's gold, Ruddles and Scotch marigold. Not to be confused with bedding marigold, that's the important thing. So just make sure that you are getting Calendula officinalis if you're going to buy it or if you're going to grow it for your horses. It's anti-inflammatory, so it helps to wick away a lot of that inflammation that can be the cause of cellulitis and lymphangitis. It's also a vulnerary and it has antimicrobial action, so again it helps to wick away the bacteria too. It's an antispasmodic for the gut, so it does help to calm the gut down too. And it has these other actions like it's an amenagogue, which is to do with reproduction, and it's an immune stimulant, so you're really helping to get rid of pathogens and you're really helping to modulate the immune system so that your animal is less susceptible to lymphangitis and cellulitis. It's a lymphatic herb primarily. It is found prolifically in nearly every lymphatic herbal mix that you will come across, and it is well selected by horses and dogs and other species too. You can provide it as a tea, so you just simply make an infusion of it. You can offer it fresh to horses, you can offer it dried to horses, and you will find it in a myriad of topical application products, making it super beneficial for lymphangitis as well, because you can essentially, what you need to do is just make a tea. You can discard the herb, so strain it out, and then you can just use the cool tea as a topical application as well and as a wash, and that will really help to clear up any bacterial infection that you've got going on too, as well as the addition of using it as a lymphatic herb to help shift that lymph and get it ready and out of the body and assimilated and moving. One you're all going to be coming across very, very soon is gallium. Some of it's already coming up now at this time of year. We're early March. Give it another few weeks and it will definitely be popping its head up. It is an annual perennial. I use it mostly as an annual because you take most of the aerial parts of the plant and you provide them to your animals. Occasionally you will find it as a perennial. It has those slightly abrasive sticking hairs. It was the plant that you used to throw at your schoolmates when you were a kid. It's often found growing alongside nettles, and it is prolific as one of those first spring detoxicant lymphatic herbs. It's also a diuretic, so it also helps to wick away a lot of debris and inflammation out of the body. It's a bit of a detoxicant too, so it's good for the liver and it's good for the lymphatic system. So you can see why when you use this hand in hand with calendula, you've got yourself a really good supportive lymphatic mix. It's also very, very cooling. Now, some of these lymphatic problems and some of these cellulitis conditions generally have a heat element to them. There's lots of inflammation, there's lots of heat going on. And because we're dealing with horses who are quadrupeds and they're standing on their legs all day, that inflammation and that heat is going to build. So offering gallium can really help to cool things down. It can really help to reduce that fire of inflammation. It does also help lymphatic flow where there is damage to the lymphatic system, which we frequently see in cellulitis, in lymphangitis, and a lot of these more chronic lymphatic problems. So definitely one that you want to include. There is another one. I'm only going to mention 3 lymphatic herbs because otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed with too much. So viola is another one that is a forageable herb that is available in the UK and it is coming up at the moment. So viola is a little bit bitter. It's very sweet. It's the same herb that they used to make Parma violets out of, and you can indeed go and make your own Parma violet sweets out of them. It's another cooling herb with a very soapy mucilaginous quality to it that helps to cleanse toxins from the body wherever they are in the body. So it's another specific for the lymphatic system. It helps to cleanse and eliminate toxins which are building up because of cellulitis and lymphangitis. It has been widely studied. It does have some anti-cancer properties to it as well, but mostly what we're going to use this for is for its lymphatic action and its slight antimicrobial action as well. It can again be offered fresh, it can be offered dried, you can make it into a tea, you can buy the essential oil, and with this herb you can also crush it up and apply it as a poultice or use it as a cooling wash. Again, just make a really nice cup of tea out of it, infuse it for 15 minutes, strain it, and then allow that water to cool and use it as a topical application and a wash to help get rid of debris. So that's one reason why we like to use lymphatics, lymphatic herbs specifically, because unfortunately the veterinary world do not have herbs, do not have medications that have this action. Another one that the veterinary medicines do not, allopathic medicines, don't contain are tonic herbs. Tonic herbs are very, very specific to herbal medicine. They work on several systems in the body, and their aim essentially is to improve the function of that system. But what they do is they help to tone vessels, mucous membranes, they tone the lymphatic vessels, they tone the immune system as well. So they are very, very slow acting and need to be offered consistently in order for that tonic action to work. Essentially what they do is they help the vessels to remain really tight, and they provide some tone and structure to them. When you provide tone and structure to a vessel, you no longer have holes in it like that where bacteria can get in or get out. So you no longer have that occurrence of bacteria getting in and causing cellulitis, which is the main problem. It's the primary problem with cellulitis, is that bacteria has got in or it can't get out, and therefore it's proliferated. So if we can tone those vessels and stop any bacteria from getting in, then we're going to be reducing our need for antibiotics, which is the only veterinary route. So what we need to do is we need to provide herbs like bilberry. Bilberry is very, very similar to a blueberry. It's the native equivalent of a blueberry. It does grow prolifically in a lot of the UK. You'll find it in the summer particularly. The berries unfortunately have all gone over now, so you may have to wait till next year, but you can also buy it online. It's a really easy one to purchase in. Unfortunately, it is a bit expensive, but I do think the benefit outweighs any expense that you're going to pay out for it. It's a strong antioxidant herb as well, so it's helping to scavenge free radicals that are anywhere in the body. However, its biggest action is that it tones peripheral vessels of both the circulatory system and the lymphatic system. So it really prevents any bacteria from getting out, and it tones them and strengthens them. And by doing that, it improves immunity as well. You can offer the berries whole, dried. You can offer them as a powder as well. So my advice would be to go out and dig around and see where you can purchase some of this, because it is invaluable for its action on the lower peripheries anyway, which is so important when we're dealing with horses. You know, it's where that damage is occurring. Another one that you're going to come across is hawthorn. It's coming out in the hedgerows now. It's probably about to come out into flower in a few weeks. Definitely take your horse to the forage. Definitely allow your animal into the forage to select as much as they possibly can. So hawthorn is another tonic to the circulatory system, so it can be really beneficial if your animal has cellulitis as a secondary component to a metabolic condition, because we are helping the circulatory system to tone, we're helping blood to be able to flow around the body better, and therefore it can be eliminated better. So it's a member of the rose family as well. It has a good anti-inflammatory action, and it helps to lower blood pressure too. So sometimes our animals, when they have things like lymphangitis and cellulitis, there's a bit of a stress element there because it's a bit painful. So when you can provide a nervine as well, you're really helping to reduce that anxiety that might be building up. It does protect those weaker vessels from breaking and from leaking. It's not as strong as bilberry because it works on the entire circulatory system, including the greater vessels, whereas bilberry is very much geared towards the finer peripheral vessels that are occurring at the ends of limbs, which is what we want. So offer those two together and you've got yourself an absolutely amazing tonic. And it's just one of those things that herbal medicine can provide that unfortunately allopathic medicine cannot provide. I don't think there is such a thing as a tonic in allopathic medication. If anyone knows of any, I'd really love to know if there is one, but I don't think there is. Now, the final element we're going to look at is the liver and blood herbs. So we're looking at these because we want to make sure that a lot of the debris is removed from the blood, particularly things like sugars, particularly things like pathogens, and particularly the products of inflammation that are going to be building because we have cellulitis and because we have lymphangitis. The one I've got here showing is burdock. Burdock is another traditional forage herb. We're just coming to the end of it now, but you can go out and purchase the roots. It's a really, really good blood cleanser, and it's really good for helping to get rid of inflammation and debris out of the blood. Another one that you will come across, some of you will have this growing natively. Oh, I don't want to say native because it's not a native, but it certainly is naturalised in some places. It goes by lots of names, including holy thistle, Mary's thistle, St Mary's thistle, and Carduus marianum. But it is the good old-fashioned reliable milk thistle. It's an annual or a biennial plant, and it can reach up to 2 metres. Very rarely have I seen it that big in the UK. However, I also just want to make note that any thistle in the UK will have similar properties. They won't be as strong as milk thistle, but they will still have the action of supporting the liver and supporting detoxification. Milk thistle particularly is a hepatorestorative. So if your animal has got any toxicity of the liver, or it's struggling, or it's a bit sluggish of the liver, and it's not able to get rid of these pathogens and debris that's building up, milk thistle will support that liver to enable it to work at its optimum. So it doesn't increase detoxification, but it does support the liver so that it can do its job properly, and it's incredibly beneficial for doing that. The leaves can also be provided, and they are a little bit more diuretic, so again helping to wick away any kind of debris and inflammation that's going on in the body. However, I would ideally like to see you providing the seeds because they are much stronger in their constituents when we're looking at liver work. But for some people, you can also go out there and provide the aerial parts of this particular plant as well. So the seeds and aerial plant parts can be provided for our animals. Another one that we're all going to be foraging on very, very soon is nettle. So nettle is a really good blood builder. It's helpful for increasing vitality and stamina. And if our animals have got cellulitis and there is a pain element involved, which is highly likely because it is a painful, heating, throbbing condition, nettle just gives our animals just a little bit of stamina. It just gives them a little bit of support to be able to cope with it. It's also really good for the blood. It helps to wick away inflammation out of the blood. It helps to clean the blood, and it helps to deliver a lot of those products to the urinary system to get rid of them. So it's a diuretic, so it increases the water output, and by doing that it's helping to eliminate waste. Nettle's really good for balancing blood sugars as well. So another one, if there is a metabolic element or metabolic condition that your horse has alongside cellulitis and lymphangitis, nettle can be really good. It's also an adrenal tonic, so it helps to reduce stress, and it has some antihistamine actions to it as well. You can use the dried herb, you can use it as a hydrosol, you can make a cup of tea out of it, and you can also apply it topically, that infusion, when it's cooled. However, horses will eat nettle direct from the forage. The best advice for horse owners I've got when it comes to nettle is to string some down, let it wilt for 24 hours, and then just provide it to your horse in the field. They will eat it, they absolutely love it, and it's such a nourishing tonic as well that you can't really do any harm by providing nettle. So if you've got some in your field that's just sitting there gathering pace, do trim it down, because horses tend to have a preference for it after it's been wilted. Not all the time. My own horses would absolutely devour nettle whether it was wilted or not. So there will be a personal preference there. But if they're not eating it from the forage, you could try trimming it down and letting it wilt for 24 hours and then offering it to them that way as well. So other considerations that you're going to need to be thinking about if your animal has cellulitis, lymphangitis, CPL, any of those swellings, they get swellings from standing in the stable for a long time, you want to be considering antimicrobial herbal washes, or any antimicrobial herb in fact. However, because I'm not looking at this in terms of taking anything away from the veterinary profession. I do think they're invaluable. If your horse has cellulitis, it's likely it's going to need antibiotics, and I wouldn't suggest taking away those antibiotics because they work so quickly, and because it is such a painful condition, we want to be able to help our animals as quickly as possible. However, once they've had their antibiotics, that's the point at which you want to start working with the tonics, you want to start working with the lymphatic herbs, and you want to start working with the liver and blood herbs. In conjunction, if you add in some antimicrobial herbs, both internally and as washes, you're going to be preventing any reoccurrence of an infection, which is what we want. We don't want to call the vet up again and say, can you give my horse more antibiotics? We know about antibiotic resistance. We want to do that as less as we can. If you provide antimicrobial herbs alongside those 3 other categories, you're going to be in a really good position to stop this from reoccurring. Antimicrobial washes can be found and made with the following herbs. These are just some of them as well. There's loads more you can use. Chickweed is coming up at the moment. A really good emollient herb, which is also cooling and also refrigerant. So it's going to calm down that inflammation. You want to be looking at using yarrow as well. Yarrow is a strong antimicrobial herb. It's a good wound healing herb as well, so can be applied as a poultice. Just simply scrunch them up, make it into a poultice, put it in a NutriBullet if you really want to, and then apply it as a poultice. That will really help to reduce any bacteria that's going on there, and it will also increase the rate of healing of that lower limb. You can also use things like echinacea. If you've got echinacea, it makes a really nice antimicrobial wash. Again, you would need to infuse some, strain it, allow it to cool, and just use it as a wash. Herbs that you want to use also will be ones that help to scavenge for free radicals. Now, I mentioned 2 of them already, hawthorn and bilberry. Anything that's got a berry in it, essentially for animals, is going to scavenge free radicals from the body. So systemically, they're going to reduce inflammation. So anything that's got a berry on it, if you want to provide it to your animals, you're going to be having a really good antioxidant action, and that's going to scavenge for those free radicals. So I've included 2 there that just happen to be tonics as well. So you've got kind of a double whammy. You've got a tonic and you've got a free radical in there as well. Not free radical, you've got an antioxidant that will scavenge for free radicals. In some cases, what you will need to be doing is supporting the gut of your horse. Because overall immunity is produced in the gut, the integrity of the gut will greatly improve the occurrences and the decrease in occurrences of cellulitis and lymphangitis. Simple herbs to use for the gut include things like chamomile and plantain. Plantain will be available in many paddocks that your horses are grazing on anyway, but it's unsure whether they will be selecting it. So I would go out and I would purchase some and offer some for selection as well, because it's really good for gut integrity too. Now, for the older horse, you want to be thinking about aiding their circulatory system. You want to be stimulating them a little bit to move as much as possible. The lymphatic system is activated by movement. It's not a passive action in horses. They very much have to move to be able to get the lymph moving around their body. And because within the vessels, they're actually made up of muscles, so we need that muscle to be moving. We need it to retract and contract. As soon as we start doing this, we're really going to be helping them to shift some of that lymph. We're going to be helping them to eliminate the bacteria, and we're going to be helping them to eliminate the pathogens. It's not always possible with elderly horses. If you have an elderly horse that has got lymphangitis or cellulitis, I would be looking at manual therapists to come in and help you to get them moving and to get them activated as well, because that will really, really help to stop any pooling of lymph and stop any bacterial growth that might be going on. In addition, as I've already mentioned, if your horse has a metabolic condition, look to herbs that help to regulate blood sugars. You know, there's lots of herbs out there that will help with metabolic conditions, and they don't all regulate the blood either, but for now, this is probably one of the biggest things that you want to be doing. Because we're coming into spring, the sugars are rising in all of the plants. So we want herbs that can help to regulate that blood sugar. 2 of the best ones that you've got coming out that are in all of the hedgerows are dandelion and cow parsley. really good for helping to modulate blood sugars that might be increasing in your horse as well. So if you've got a horse with a metabolic condition, my advice is to provide dandelion and cow parsley to them. That will also need to be done in conjunction with their diet and exercise regime. However, that's just 2 herbs that you can look at. So those 3 categories, the tonics, the lymphatics, and the blood and liver herbs, are going to provide so much benefit for any animal that has got CPL, lymphedema, lymphadenopathy, lymphangitis, cellulitis. They all come under this really big category where the vasculature and the peripheral vessels have become compromised in some way. The bacteria has either got in or it can't get out. If we provide just 2 or 3 of those herbs from each category, we're going to be looking at eliminating and certainly supporting our animals as much as we can to stop reinfection as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, just pop them below. If you are looking to learn further about what we do and about how herbs can support your animals, I do have an online platform and an online membership called Herbal Shenanigans. If you would like to join, the link is below. We are starting the spring series on the 21st of March. We start at the spring equinox every season, really. So we're just coming into spring now. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of herbs that can help with the elimination and the detoxification systems, as well as a little bit on the gut and liver. So that's our primary area for looking at spring. However, included in that, we also have case studies, we also have blind tastings and tastings of herbs that you know about. Some of you may be interested in receiving a seasonal herbal box, which you would get every quarter. You can stay for a month, you can stay for the year, you can stay for as long as you like. There's no you don't have to. You can stay just for the month, come in and get the information that you need and then leave if you want to. However, we would love you to stay. There's loads of people here who are all there trying to support and help their animals. And we do information like this on a regular basis. So you get to learn not just what the herbs are, but why you're offering them and how they can support your animals. So that's one of the offerings that I provide. The second offering that I provide is called Innate Botanical Selections. This is an online platform for practitioners who are interested in studying the Innate Botanical Selections method, which is based on Caroline Ingraham's zoopharmacognosy. It's completely online. It will take a year to complete, but you do get practitioner status and it is regulated by the UK Rural Skills. So if you want to join, again, I've included the link below for that. Enrolment is starting now, but we don't start cohort 2 until July. So you have a few months to work out what you need and how you're going to go about it. Included in Innate Botanical Selections, you get a huge kit of herbs and essential oils, and we teach you the method of self-selection and animals innately selecting herbal medicine for themselves. So that's another offering. We have lots of educational webinars inside Herbal Shenanigans and that are being currently uploaded to the Animal Botanical website. There are a few in there. They're only going to be £5 a pop, so really cheap, because I think it's really important that people learn that the natural forage that's around them, which is for free, like it's free material, the vast majority of it, I really want people to know how beneficial it can be for their animals, and I really think that that only comes with a little bit of education and a little bit of knowledge. So there'll be educational webinars that are coming up on the website very, very soon. A few of them have already been released, so do have a look on there and see if there's something that you like. I also provide one-to-one consultations. My consultations cover several different modalities. I'm also an equine chiropractor and have spent 15 years honing my craft, for want of a better word. So I offer modalities in equine chiropractor. I do energetic work as well, and I kind of offer a structural session which covers several different modalities but provides the horse with what the horse needs, not necessarily what I provide. So it's all about them. The consultation is very much geared towards them. I also provide herbal consultations for animals. What this involves is me taking a full case history of your animal, and then I write a report and recommendations of herbs that I think you should be providing and essential oils that you should be providing for your animal. And we go through that together, and you can either purchase those herbs off of me, or you can go off and go DIY and do it yourself. It doesn't really matter. So that's part of the consultation process. I also provide animal communication as well, which is something I love doing, something that was thrown upon me many years ago, and I've just kind of make it part of my overall consultation process, because I want to know what your animals think. I want to know how they are and how their bodies are. So that's part of the consultation process as well. The other thing that you guys can do is to go and buy our book. So we have a forage field guide, which is available on Amazon. Again, I've included the link below. Our forage field guide is divided into 3 sections. So we have a spring section, a summer section, and an autumn section. And within each section, we detail a lot of the herbs that are available at that time of year. And we also detail the rules of offering and providing herbs to both horses and dogs. So it's a really simple and effective way that you can start going out and looking at the forage that's around you now and providing it for your animals. If you want to have a look at the website, we do have a small shop on the website which sells simple herbs, simple blends, and some wild hound apothecary stuff, which we do in conjunction with Daisy. So do go and have a look on there if you're interested in buying any herbs as well. So enjoy the webinar. I will be doing another one soon. I think the next one is probably going to be on digestive issues, and I'm going to be looking at laminitis specifically and how that relates to the gut and what we can do to support our animals who've got laminitis, and how the gut and laminitis are connected. So enjoy the webinar. Take care, everybody, and I will hopefully speak to you all very soon. Bye for now.